Welcome to the Five Things Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Carter.
Carter. Carter who? Who? Wait, what?
Carter? No?
Where's my wife?
Uh,
Why am I all alone?
your wife, she's been taken by the aliens, Sean.
Oh, boo woo woo.
Good 50s spaceship noise.
Thanks. I've got a theremin I'm waiting to break out later.
Yeah, you should record that and I don't know. Put it on.
We're gonna turn this entire thing into a 50s UFO spoof radio program.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Okay. We'll Orson Welles this thing later.
Yeah, totally. Well, hey, I'm back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I've got a whole new place here. It's the FTP.
I know, it's the new digs.
It's kind of like what you did with your videos. I have now chronicled SCHP, and it has a beginning, middle, and end, and now it's over.
It's done. They're still there though.
Yes, I haven't removed them from. Oh, now they're gone. Poof.
Someone sent me a message just the other day. It was like, "Well, hey, why don't you make videos anymore?" I'm like, where have you been for like a year? I haven't made a video in a long time. Anyway. Yeah, this is pretty cool. You know what's not very cool though? I'm sick.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm excited to make you laugh later and have it just dissolve into a coughing fit.
It's already happened once. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this soon. My work that I was previously engaged in, it's very very hot, like stressful, and you like this happens a lot to campaign people. Is you like are just on fumes at the end, going into like election day, and you're just like holding yourself together with like, adrenaline and 5-hour energy, and like bagels that you've scrounged from like days ago that you don't good or not anymore, and you somehow make it to the end, and everybody gets really sick.
Everyone gets sick all at once.
Super sick. So
it takes one little virus,
yeah,
to jump in, and then boom.
I don't know what it was. Met up with my best friend Martha, had my same job but in a different state, and we both have exactly the same cough. It's like we have this sympathetic illness or something. Well, it's good to be back. I missed this.
Well, people missed you so much that they didn't even believe you were leaving in the first place. There was some commenter who asked, like, "No, seriously, where is Carter?" And I was like, "No, seriously, he left." And you're like, "Oh, I thought you were joking."
Didn't notice that. I listened to a lot of the Five Things podcast because they've been on like they've had content that I haven't seen. They've been about like movies or Homeland, and I'm like, well, I can't.
Yeah, we're staying topical, man. You got to keep up.
Well, guess what, dude? I am back home in Ohio, and my mom has the entire first season of Homeland on DVD, and she's been DVRing the new season 2. So I have an opportunity to catch up.
Is she bugging you to catch up?
She is. It's like I can't even explain the level of like anxiety she's feeling because I haven't seen it.
Because you don't know what's going on.
She just keeps saying like, honey, it's like 24, but so much more.
Not a bad way to describe it.
So I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Like, I want to catch up for Five Things podcast, and everyone says it's awesome, so I'm gonna do that. I mean, I might even watch the first episode today.
We got Ron watching it, and he keeps up every week now. And I also found out last time I talked to him, he is now watching Breaking Bad. So compelling TV all around.
Homeland, I think, is. I mean, isn't it like 10 episodes or 12?
Yep, I think the first one was 10.
Yeah, so I feel like I can catch up on that. Breaking Bad, that's it in 6th season.
Yeah, but they're also short seasons.
I guess that's true.
Plus, it is the show that everyone says once you start watching it, you just can't stop. You catch up before you know it.
It reminds me of when I started watching 24 on DVD from Blockbuster.
Yeah, that was the first time it happened to me that I just couldn't stop watching a TV show.
Yeah, I mean, I got through the 4th season in like a month and a half.
People told me that was going to happen to me with Lost, and then I tried it, and They were wrong.
They were wrong. I tried to watch Lost when it was out, but, it was... I don't know. One day I'll catch up. I'm still in season 2. From back when season 2 was actually on air.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, well... Enough of all that. We got some topics today. It's back to our regularly scheduled format for, stuff.
Well, I don't know how that's possible because nothing has happened since you went away.
Nothing at all. I mean, like...
Everything has remained in stasis, exactly the way it was.
Yeah, it's... Why? Let's just move right on to American Horror Story.
See, just the same as it was.
Same as it ever was. Well, we have a couple topics this week. This should sound familiar to we wanted to like ease people back in, We didn't want a big like shocking new thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about
So what are you going to complain about then?
Well, I'm going to talk about and complain about some things that Apple did. Shocking.
Apple, which one is
not the eating kind.
Okay.
The business kind.
Okay.
With the stuff that you buy that people don't understand why they're making them. And we're also gonna. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff that they did. A lot of stuff happened, and I think I could probably talk about all the stuff that has happened to Apple in the past like 2 months for like 3 or 4 podcasts. We're not gonna do that. I'm gonna try and really limit myself to like 15 minutes, but. No promises. And then we have a little mini topic, a little movie topic. So, listeners, see if you can guess what movie Shawn and I are really excited to talk about.
Think about that if you tune out for this.
Yes. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And then we got sort of a somewhat non-traditional topic that we'll get to here in a little bit. And then we'll get right back into American Horror Story, just like the glory days.
Someone's going to ask Marble Hornets.
Oh, Marble Hornets. We'll talk about Marble Hornets, but not today is not the time. Although, man, some things happened on Marble Hornets too. I can't even remember all of them, but I know that things happened. All right, well, let's dive right in, shall we? While I was away, Apple decided to refresh every single product that they've ever made ever.
Everything.
Everything. The only thing that they have not refreshed is that Mac Pro, that giant 900-pound box. They're gonna leave those people in the tall grass. Nope. See you guys. We do laptops, we do iMacs, we do tablets. No more. I mean. Tim Cook said that we'll have something for the people who care about the Mac Pro in 2013, and
that something it's dead.
Yeah, I believe John Syracuse has said he believes it will be a big, middle finger. I have no real good speculation for the Mac Pro. I have a feeling that it's gonna get killed pretty hard.
Soon you'll need an adapter to use it. That's how you know.
Right, exactly. Well, the Mac Pro still has USB 2. It doesn't have Thunderbolt. It's crazy. So they refreshed everything. They got these new like Retina MacBook Pros, which are ungodly expensive but look really sexy. I went to an Apple store, by the way, so I've got to play with all of these products, except the new iMacs, and that's the thing that I really wanted to talk about. So. In the middle of what was supposed to be the iPad mini show, and as they were like, revealing all of their product refreshes, and you get a refresh, and you get a they revealed the new iMac, which everyone sort of knew, like, yeah, they're probably gonna refresh the iMac. The design hasn't been refreshed in like 3 years or so, but I don't think anyone was expecting how radically they refreshed the design. It is still a big screen with a little chin. The screen itself is now laminated to the glass, so it looks sort of like a an iPhone or an iPad display where it kind of like sticks right, to the top of it. There's no air in between anymore. But the big design change is that, Sean, have you seen an iMac recently? They're about like maybe like an inch and a half thick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The edge of the display is now 5 millimeters.
Well, that's just crazy talk.
Mm-hmm. The way they accomplish this though is they have this kind of like bulge in the back, which is kind of unseemly. I don't know.
Where all the stuff is.
Yeah, like you can't really. I mean, really, if you look at this and in all of their like product photography, it's always at an angle where you can't quite see the back.
They're hiding the baby bump.
Yeah,
it's like a sitcom where an actress gets pregnant and they just keep putting her holding grocery bags or something.
Hello, or she's wearing, like a coat. That's all their photography is like that. So that what it really looks like to me is a ginormous iPad. Looks like, which is maybe where they're going in the very long run. So I think these iMacs are very attractive, and I'm considering not getting one for myself, but getting one for my mom.
You talked about getting her an iMac a while ago before the product refresh.
They are actually having problems making them. As you can imagine, like to get an entire big modern computer with like kind of graphics, but whatever, into something that small, it involves lots of like technology and processes, and apparently they haven't quite got those fully hammered out so they can make them very quickly. So the 21,
if they're making them with hammers, no wonder.
The 21.5-inch display, the small one, was supposed to come out in November. It's November 18th now. They're obviously going to miss that, but they're going to try and get the smaller ones out for the holidays, and the big ones, the 27-inch ginormous ones, sometime soon. So that's kind of disappointing that they announced that these would be coming out in November and December, and they missed that ship date. That the last time I can remember that happening was with the white iPhone 4, where they said, it would ship when the black iPhone 4 came out, and it took like, I don't even know how long. It took like 9 months before they were able to get that thing out the door, because
it's hard to make things white.
Yeah, I think the thing
they had to scratch all that black off.
Exactly. I think the problem was the white glass was allowing too much light to get into the camera sensor, and it made all the pictures just look terrible. The gold makes the chocolate taste terrible. You can write the reference in the comments. So the thing I wanted to talk about besides the design is a really new, kind of crazy, amazing feature of Macs, or product/feature that is going to be coming with the new iMacs and the new Mac Minis. And I would expect also, if they do refresh the Mac Pro, that they'll have this too. And that's called the Fusion Drive.
Ooh, tell me more.
Powering these things with Fusion, Sean. You don't even have to plug them into the wall.
I'm picturing Doc Brown and Mr. Fusion 3000 or whatever.
Yeah. It's pouring like Miller High Life and
a banana peel.
An apple core. No, you cannot power your Mac with a banana peel, to the best of my knowledge. However, you can use a very new WYSI storage device. So, Sean, have you ever used a computer that had an SSD instead of a hard disk drive?
Well, actually, a couple weeks ago when I had Bobby on 5 Things, he brought over his Ultrabook, which was solid state. And he showed me just how quickly it can shut down and start up.
Wasn't it pretty zippy?
Yes.
Everyone I know who moves from a hard disk to a solid state they always say something along the lines of, it's like you're getting a whole new computer. So wouldn't you or I or anyone want to get a solid state drive for our computer, right?
Right.
imagine you specifically, SSDs are pretty expensive, even to get like a 256 gig solid state drive. And I'm thinking you as a content creator, that's not enough room for your
No
stuff.
way. No, HD video, 1080 resolution. No way.
Right. So you have to rely on spinning disks, platters that rust, this old ancient technology like that we're wedded to, because they come in terabytes, not gigabytes. Right. You
Right.
can get, I think you can get up to a 3 terabyte caviar, or whatever top of the line drive for like $80, $90,
Yeah.
120.
Nothing.
256 gig solid state drive is going to run you like many hundreds of dollars. And if you want something substantial like 512, or 7, whatever the, I can't do the math.
768.
Yeah, you're talking thousands. You're talking $1,000. Which is crazy. So, wouldn't it be nice if you could take a hard disk drive for storage and a solid state drive for speed and put them together, fuse them, if you will?
Ah, I see where we're going here.
Well, that's exactly what Apple has done with this Fusion drive. So the Fusion drive is an actual product. It's a hard disk drive and a solid state drive like together, and it's also a whole bunch of stuff in the operating system called Core Storage, which came out in Lion, and they used that to do some other stuff in Lion. It doesn't matter, but they're leveraging both this device and this technology to create this Fusion drive. So the idea behind the Fusion drive, or the way that I've seen it described in the Ars Technica article that I read about it, is the Fusion drive is a cup over a bucket. And as you pour your data into the cup, it starts filling up, and that's the SSD. And once the SSD gets full, it starts spilling over into the bucket. So that on its own wouldn't be super great, right? Because it's like, well, what if there's stuff in the bucket that I would really like on the SSD? Do I have to like move that on my own? And how would you do that? Because the drive itself looks like one logical drive. It looks like the Fusion drive it doesn't appear on your computer as two separate things. It's
Right.
one.
Right.
So Core Storage in the background notices what applications and what data you use frequently, and it will move that onto the SSD as you use it. So if you have Aperture and Lightroom, two photo editing pieces of software, and Aperture is on the SSD, but you use Lightroom more frequently, Core Storage will move, or the Fusion drive will move that application off of the SSD and put Lightroom onto it so that you can access it faster. So what this means is you don't get all the performance of an SSD, but you get close to the performance of an SSD with all the storage of a hard disk drive.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
And it's just going to be smart enough to realize your habits and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. So like your video that you're working on right now, and editing, that likely be on the SSD as you're using it and constantly working on it, and then once you have finished with that and you've saved it, eventually it will just get migrated off the SSD and put on the hard drive. The performance characteristics of the Fusion drive are kind of just shy of an SSD, but significantly faster than a hard disk drive. And for people who don't have a lot of data, they'll just get all the performance of an SSD. So I think they come with a 128 gig SSD drive. If you don't have 128 gigs of data, it's like you just have an a solid state drive.
Yeah.
For that, you get all the benefits of this Fusion drive, which I think is pretty cool.
So what PC manufacturer is already trying to move in on that idea?
They should.
Seagate.
Yeah, there have been a couple attempts to do something like this, but because there's not a tight coordination between the operating system and the device,
Right.
it's hard to make that happen. So there have been lots of hybrid drives that have a tiny bit of SSD on it or flash on it, and it acts as a cache, like a write cache.
Right. Which
but-
you already see advertised with every hard drive.
Right. Fusion drive stuff, since it can leverage all this like, whiz bang technology.
Whiz bang.
In under the covers in the Mac, it can actually go really, really fast, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's all I had to say about that. That's pretty fast. Two more Apple topics, and then we can move on to the movie that shall remain nameless until we get there. One is the iPad Mini. I have played with one of these things now.
You haven't used it to replace your long-forgotten Nexus 7?
No. Actually, I bought, I don't know if this happened while I was away or not, but I bought like a regular Kindle to replace my Nexus 7.
Okay.
Because, it was cheap. Like basically an old used one for like $65, and it does everything that I want it to do. It lasts forever. The battery lasts for days, weeks. It has all my books on it. It's comfortable to read on.
Yeah, I've seen the nice newer models, and they're really nice.
I would really like one of those. I actually was really stupid. I was gonna buy like a Kindle 4. Sort of the Kindle that just before these new whatever they are, Paperwhite.
Yeah.
And they weren't on sale when I went to the Amazon website. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And I'm such a technology enthusiast and follower. How did I not know they were gonna have new ones?
They were between versions.
So I'm like, I'll just get one on eBay or something. And then I'm like, God damn it. Thing, whatever. The iPad.
You're like those people who went and bought an iPad 3 a week before the iPad 4.
Yeah. So, I have an iPad 3 and the iPad 4 is out, and I don't really care. I mean, it is much faster, but I think they're getting to the point where it's like, the 2011 MacBook Pro versus the 2012 MacBook Pro. It's like, well, it's faster, but they both run everything. Just one's a little faster. It's like, yeah, that's fine. I don't feel, angry that there's an iPad 4 out, or any desire to buy an iPad 4 to replace my iPad 3. Now the iPad Mini, I'm also not going to buy one of these. I think I know what Apple, and I would be tempted to purchase one of them, but if only they had a Retina display. So. The iPad Mini is basically iPad 2 internals with an iPhone 3GS screen inside a new case. So Apple built all these, assembly lines basically to make the old iPhone screen, and they have them, and they they invested all this money in them, and nothing uses that screen anymore except the iPad 2. Which is,
not selling anymore.
It's still, they're still selling, a fair few of them, but not nearly as many as all the other stuff they sell. And they're not selling any 3GSs anymore. So, what are you going to do with these plants, right? Do you just close them down? Do you just rapidly decrease the output of them, or do you make a fruitcake?
It's a conglomerate.
A fruitcake is traditionally all of the leftovers of a baker that they put together into something that they can, sell, or the butcher's special,
You're making it sound like they're tricking people into buying this.
Well, I don't think they're tricking people into buying it, but I think that the product itself is
it's a Frankenstein.
It's kind of a Frankenstein product because it uses the A5 processor from the iPad 2. It uses the display technology from the 3GS and and then this new case design, which the case design is has a lot of design cues from the iPhone 5.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes sense to me. They're like, well, we have all this technology to do all this process stuff, all these assembly lines. Do we just want to let them sit and do nothing, or do we want to
make money?
Yeah, do we want to make something with them? It's like, well, what could we make with them? And what they decided, or what they hit on was we could make a small iPad with this technology.
Do you
Like
think they hit on that, or everyone in the world hit on that?
so there's this there's two things here, right? There's the price point and there's the form factor. So the form factor, yeah, like the Nexus 7s and the Kindle Fires, like those are sort of like trickling out into the world and people are kind of like taking notice of them.
Yeah, they worked.
Yes. I will say that there was a pretty damning set of slides in the iPad mini introduction where they showed it was a Nexus 7. They didn't say it was a Nexus 7. I was a little like, Apple, you guys have bigger balls than that. You can say it's a Nexus 7.
Come on.
They were these damning slides were of mobile websites. Uh, the iPad Mini when it's in specifically when it's in horizontal mode. I noticed this with my Nexus 7. The web is not like the nicest thing to look at horizontally on a Nexus 7 because it's like skinny.
Uh-huh.
Whereas on an iPad Mini, it's just like the same. It's the same resolution as an iPad, so you just get a lot more content. It looks nicer, and the websites when you go to them on an iPad look way nicer than they do on Android tablets right now. And like going to Yelp or whatever, like these mobile optimized websites, when you go to them on an Android tablet, a lot of them look like just big phone versions. Like
Yeah.
which is just like, ooh, that's ugly. And actually, spoiler alert, the tablet website for Skyfall, instead of going to like t.skyfall.com or whatever,
M.Skyfall. Yeah.
it was ipad.skyfall.com. So what tablet you're on. So these things are really expensive. They're $329 to start. I think that Apple reasonably noticed that it's like, yeah, people are selling tablets in about this form factor. We have the technology to make a miniature version of our best of breed tablet, and it can run all of the apps of our best of breed tablet, so it gets the whole ecosystem benefit. So let's make a product and put it out there. The reason why I think it's so expensive is, regardless of how they price this, they'd sell all of them, right?
They want to make money on their hardware, unlike most of these other companies.
Yeah, exactly. Google has said that the Nexus 7 sells at cost.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, Apple makes money on the hardware, not on, they make their money on the razor, not the blades.
Kindle sells at cost too.
Kindle sells at cost, or worse, potentially. Amazon is well known for selling things at a loss.
I forget which episode of it was, but we had an episode called Loss Leader where we described this whole process.
Yeah, totally. So I think that this product makes total sense. I think it's going to sell a lot, but I think it's a little... I'll say this: I played with one. They're really nice to hold. I don't much care for the design, particularly the black version has this black matte back, sort of like the iPhone 5, which I'll complain about soon. I really like the old silver style, and the white has a white back, and the most ugly thing of all, if you get a white cellular enabled iPad mini, it's a white back with an even whiter plasticky top band so that the cell signal can like get in and out of it. It's just like, it doesn't look Apple at all.
Or it looks Apple like 10 years ago, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like iPhone, iPod version 1.
Yeah, or like the iMac that had the like chrome arm and the big like base, that thing. I think that these will sell pretty well. I mean, I think they'll sell all of them.
Stocking stuffer.
Yeah, they're a mini iPad. They any app that you can run on an iPad, you can run on an iPad mini, and the branding speaks to that too. It's every inch an iPad, which I think is very clever. I do think though that it was sort of like, well, we got all this stuff. Why don't we, like I said, let's make fruitcake. Let's not let this go to waste. So, I mean, they're gonna make money off of it. I don't know that it's very uh, strategic, so much as it's just, well, we got stuff to sell. Let's sell it.
Yeah, when it was first announced, it seemed like all the press coverage was about the strategy of the price point in the market. And I think you have a better point that they're just using what they have available for them. Did they really put the thought into dividing the market?
I don't think so at all.
They just were like, okay, we can make $329 on this.
Exactly. Like we can make more money if we sell this. It's like we can make money selling a product that people will buy and don't have to shutter all these plants that we invest all this money in. So let's do that. I think that basically the iPad 2 will go away, although put this in the, whatever, put this in the Carter like theory jar. I I think they'll stop selling the iPad 2 for the general public and replace it with the iPad mini, but they'll still sell iPad 2s to the education market.
Okay.
Make that form factor, it's easy, it's cheap, and they'll sell them for like even cheaper than they do now.
I'm excited for that future of education in that video that you sent out. I'll make sure I put it in the link dump. It was your personal tutor. What was it called?
Right. I'm blanking on that now, but yeah, it's about like a personal tutor.
Aristotle.
Personal Aristotle, yeah. Everyone will be like Alexander, and you'll have a personal Greek tutor.
Yeah, I think that one of the best things about Apple has always been the way they work with educators. Because I remember my first computer labs in school, they were all Mac labs. I learned how to write logo.
Oh man.
I had a turtle.
Yeah, my high school was all PC, but my elementary school, I think I mentioned this before, we used those Newton eMate things for a year, which was I thought was impossibly cool at the time, but in retrospect, it's like, oh boy, what creaky old technology. Finally, this will be very brief. I bought an iPhone 5. It's shocking.
What?
My
Here's the bigger surprise. I said I was going to buy an iPhone 5, and I never did.
didn't. So I would have bought an iPhone 5 no matter what because I was up for an upgrade, and my iPhone 4, the home button basically didn't work anymore. You had to take a pen, shove the pen into the home button space to get it to work. And I knew, like, well, I'm just gonna get an upgrade anyway, so I'm
It's
not
like
gonna
you're having a game with your phone.
Yeah,
Call it a feature.
Yeah, I was away from my work and I needed something done on my iPhone 4. So I chatted someone I knew there and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you grab my old phone off my desk, turn it on, and do this thing and like read some numbers back to me?" And he's like, "Turn on." And I'm like, "No, you have to push the home button really hard." He's like, "I am pushing it hard." And I chatted back, "No, you have to push it harder than you think." And then he's like, "Oh, it's working now." Um, I'll be brief. I like the iPhone 5. I think the design is great. It feels great in your hand. The way I've been describing it to people is it's like they took an iPhone 4 and took a steamroller to it. So it's thinner and taller. It's very zippy. It takes amazing photos. I took my iPhone 4 and my iPhone 5 and held them at basically at exactly the same angle, like right in two hands, and took the same picture of something, and it just looks amazingly better on the 5. Like it was yellow, it was kind of yellowed on the 4 in ways I hadn't noticed before. It wasn't nearly as crisp. There's lots of nice features on here. It's great.
I bet part of that is the screen as well, because I did read a study or something between the screens of the GS3 and the iPhone 5, and it said that the color spectrum is broader on the GS3, but the lifelike color representation is more accurate on the iPhone.
Yeah, we're kind of getting to this era of um, things can't be everything.
Yeah.
Uh, when,
What? But I
what?
want to pay for that.
So when we were in the really salad days of phone generations, like from the iPhone to the 3G to the 3GS and like the original Droid to the Droid 2 like a couple of years later, you saw these like really big changes. You might think that every next generation it's gonna be 1,000 times better than the generation before it.
This is why everyone is disappointed at every release now, because you just can't have monumental changes anymore that would surprise people like that.
Right. So something like when you're comparing like the Galaxy S3 to the iPhone 5 camera, I think they have similar sensors, and I think the aperture is a little bit nicer in the iPhone 5. But they kind of had to pick like, what do we want to focus on? Cameras focus.
Yeah.
What do we want to focus on in our camera? What's our value for a camera in a phone, right? So the iPhone camera takes real. I mean, like one of the things it does great is low light. I don't know how great the GS3 is that.
Yeah.
Good way to refer to it. I don't know how great that is with low light photography without the flash, but it's like they have stuff going on the chip on the SoC to do image processing to like really bring out stuff in darkness, which I appreciate. But you might want to focus on other things. So that's kind of like where we are right now. So I think that's neat, actually.
Yeah.
Yep, I love this phone. It's great. I do have some complaints.
I still have the same complaint about the GS3 that I always have, and I have a story to tell that came from it. I hate how big this phone is. I still hate it. And Alicia always sticks her phone in her back pocket. And because it's so big, it pushes its way out. And 2 weeks ago, it fell out of her back pocket, hit on a corner, and the screen went off and never turned back on. The good news is the screen wasn't cracked. And when she took it to Verizon, they inspected it and said, it's not cracked. They looked at the back of the screen. They said, it's not cracked. We'll send it in, and you'll get a free one.
Well, that's a nice experience.
Yeah.
That's lame.
That's also probably a not very common experience, unless not in the Verizon wireless Samsung world.
Yeah, that's
more of an Apple experience normally.
Yeah, Sean, I'm gonna send you an article. Maybe we can talk about it next week about Best Buy that I read in Wired this month about that sort of thing exactly right there, like the real customer service angle of things, which you don't necessarily get with like these networks.
Yeah.
What do they care?
Yeah, they're not invested in the hardware.
No.
They're selling you a plan.
Yeah, I mean that's lame, and I have a GS3. They're pretty big. There are bigger phones. The new top of the line Android phones are 5 inches. They're huge. Like the Galaxy Note is considered a phone.
Uh-huh.
And there's another new phone. I don't remember what it is. It's 5 inches. It's huge. They're huge. And I thought, and this is still my thought, that the reason why Android phones were so big a while ago was because they went LTE early and they needed more room for like the battery and stuff because,
right.
That stuff is energy expensive. But now it's just like, God, why are your phones so big? And I noticed that one of the new flagship phones is the Nexus 4, which is much smaller than a lot of the current best of breed Android phones.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I have no complaints about the size of my phone. I have a couple complaints about it, though, generally. One, this is a huge deal for me. I bought this phone, paid money for it, came to my house, actually came to my work. I opened it up out of the box.
Unboxed.
The box was beautiful. I still have it. I slowly lifted the top up off of it, and there's my phone, just cradled, nestled like half in just like presenting itself to me like, here's your phone, it's all beautiful, it looked untouched by human hands. Except for the very obvious nick in the paint finish on the top right corner of my phone, staring at me like a little splinter in my eye.
It's like, hey, I'm Nick.
Why? I mean, I'm not a fan of this design, this finish.
Right.
They painted this to look like gunmetal black, and it is kind of sexy and almost dangerous. It like in some ways, it's like in some lights it almost looks purpley. That kind of black, or like all these like blues and grays and stuff. But it's like it's gonna come off. Like no matter what, if you don't have this thing hermetically sealed, you're gonna get little dings and dicks, and it's not gonna look good. My only hope is that it wears gracefully and it looks like the Millennium Falcon by the end of it. Not
it's missing a big satellite dish, and
I don't want it to actually look like a piece of junk, and I worry that it will because of this choice, which I think was a bad choice.
Well, that's because you're supposed to put a case on it.
Put a ring on it. Well, I don't want to put a case on it. My other complaint about the design, and this is like subtle, but I don't like it. So I'm holding it up like sort of horizontally facing up, and I'm looking at it from the side. It is not symmetrical. The bottom is basically flush. It's maybe like it's flat. It's totally flat, and the chamfer meets up with the bottom. But the screen is like a millimeter or a millimeter and a half higher than where the chamfer meets. So it like sticks up a little. And it's like, why if they were going to spend so much time designing this phone, why wouldn't they find a way to make it look perfectly flat on both sides? That just bothers me. Like, Johnny Ive spent, I don't know, $500 million doing all the design on this phone, and they just were like, well, we think that's fine.
I'm sure there was a better discussion about it than that, but yeah.
And then my final complaint is software's a little buggier than the old iOS 5. So I'm a little perturbed generally over the state of the bugginess of the software. I get crashes a little more frequently than I used to. They've separated out podcasts from the music app, and the podcast app is truly terrible.
I have heard that complaint repeatedly.
It is awful. It's not the stupid reel-to-reel thing, which, whatever, I don't care. They've got this... Someone spent a lot of time coming up with the design and the code for that reel-to-reel thing, because no matter how long your podcast is, it spins them the way that, like, it should. So it's not like it's rotating, just like randomly.
It's just a blank animation.
Yeah, it, like knows how long the podcast is and how much should be on the left reel and how much should be on the right reel.
Well, it's just a fancy percentage bar then, right?
Basically, which is hard to tell because it's like because reel to reels. Whatever. I don't want to get. My complaint is it just doesn't work very well. It like downloads stuff when I don't want it to download stuff. You can't tell where you are. If you're in am I in my library or the catalog? Am I in the store? Like it constantly like flips itself around. It looks like a bookcase or something kind of, and it's just like horrible. I have multiple podcasts. I have two subscriptions on this. One with 0 on it, and I can't delete it, and one with all the real ones. It's just horrible, and I just haven't taken the time to find a good replacement podcast app, but it's horrible. Oh, and one final thing for you, Sean, about the iPhone 5.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why I just wanted to bring this up. One of the reasons why you said in the podcast when you were talking about this that you didn't want to get one was because it didn't have the YouTube app.
I was saying generally that they were discontinuing their support of Google worked
Okay.
into the OS.
Okay.
Not specifically that they dropped one thing.
Right. Well, like they did drop that one thing, which is fine. But like, didn't you specifically say like, well, you couldn't do your like videos with it because you couldn't push it up to YouTube? Did I completely misremember that?
I don't know. I might have said that, but I know that that is not the case.
I just wanted to make sure that that was like this is like 8 weeks of follow up. It's like just to be clear, you can still push things up to YouTube. You just have to like go to YouTube on Safari, which is a experience anyway. Uh, oh, and Maps is I have had no major problems with it, but I am not thrilled. And if we had time and we talked about to talk about the executive reshuffle, I am hopeful that getting rid of Scott Forstall and shifting things around will mean great improvements for iOS. I think that we've kind of hit a point of stagnation, and I would like to see things move forward. So, Skyfall?
So, Skyfall.
What'd you think of Skyfall?
Boy, Skyfall was a great movie.
Wasn't it just a great movie generally?
I saw 2 weeks before Skyfall, I saw Argo, which is phenomenal. And I was like, what a great movie. Like, just on all counts, like, everything about it was great. And I never would have expected James Bond to be so satisfying in all the ways that make a movie good that I would actually end up liking that more. I really thought that Argo was, like, the perfect experience. And then I saw Skyfall, and I was like, oh, right. This has everything.
Everything. I haven't seen Argo yet. It's on my list. I was really shocked by how good of a movie it was, how much I enjoyed it, how much of a Bond movie it was, but how much it was its own kind of thing. How much I loved the title credits and the song. I don't even know. I don't even know. I was really, really satisfied with it. Um, it was just all around a great movie, and I'm seeing it again. I just saw it on Thursday, and I'm definitely going to see it again either today or tomorrow.
I was able to find the intro online. I think it got pulled down. But I was able to find that title sequence after I'd seen the movie and see all of the portentous things going on in it. It basically tells the entire movie before you see the movie.
Yeah, I have to go back and pay attention to that. It's also just beautifully, beautifully shot.
I remember Casino Royale having a pretty good title sequence, but not that was so fitting of the story. It was cool to look at, but it was not nearly as engaging as this one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this was just great, and Adele was a really great choice for the song, and the song itself. I downloaded it right after on iTunes. One of the things I like about the song that I don't, is they incorporate the James Bond theme in the middle of the song.
They have those horns that are very familiar.
Yeah, which is a lot like the movie, like when we see the Aston Martin and all the like callbacks to old Bond, but in this new kind of package. I was like, this is just like that movie was just like going on all 8 cylinders. Like it was just great, and there was not a moment when I was like bored or not engaged. It was just fabulous.
By the way, there will be spoilers here.
Spoilers. So yeah, loved it. What a great bad guy, I thought.
Yeah. Tremendous. He made me feel uncomfortable, which was good.
Yeah, definitely. He made James feel uncomfortable. I love that. I love that line when Javier Bardem is sort of kind of groping James Bond, and he says something like, does he say like there's a first time for everything, and James just looks right back at him and
how do you know it's my first time?
Such a sophisticated answer. It's such a answer. It's not like get off me, Gabe, stupid, blah.
As much as I enjoyed it, there were several times that I couldn't believe that bad guys or, antagonists were so stupid around Bond. I kept, like, someone would get really close to him with a gun, and I'm like, come on, man. Those fists are lethal weapons. Why are you so close to him?
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, he did that multiple times. Knocked a gun out of someone's hand, or it's just like, oh, you have a gun, great, whatever. I have me.
Slappers only.
Yeah. I loved that they retreated into Churchill's bunker.
Mm-hmm.
So a British movie, it was such a British movie, like that bulldog with the Union Jack on it. Like everything about this movie just screams, Britain, which is what a lot of the old Bond movies were about as well, was like British national identity. But back in the 60s as opposed to now.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of covered that in the plot of the movie, and with Silva saying things to James about, like, what his role really is at this point in history, because we're not in a Cold War. Spies are kind of old school at this point, which, oh man, speaking of Homeland.
Yeah. They played with the same thing with that hearing, like having to like have MI6 hold it, be
They've got like an oversight committee.
Right, which I think they had to do something like that in Casino Royale. But mostly like MI6 reports to no one.
Yeah.
They report to the Prime Minister. And now it's like, you need to like, we bureaucrats, or we, representatives of the people, we want to know what usefulness you all have. It's like in this, in this modern world. And James Bond certainly shows what usefulness having, actual, human spies out in the world is.
Yeah.
I love that Japanese island they go to. It looks like Inception.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much of a Nolan influence did you feel in this film?
Quite a bit.
I could not help but think The Dark Knight several times. I felt like it was a similar antagonistic action, like a someone who doesn't care and it's personal against the hero.
Yeah. One thing that was really great about Silva is they made it personal without having to fall back on a backstory that happened in other movies.
Yeah.
When they were like, we're going to meet the big bad guy, I'm like, oh, is he going to be from Quantum of Solace that I haven't seen, or someone that I don't remember from another movie? And it's like, no, but he can, like, he as a character and as a great actor, can just, like, wrap you into this story so successfully and neatly that it doesn't matter that you haven't been following him for a long time. It's like you feel the weight of his...
You infer his backstory.
Yeah. Oh, and what a backstory. When he pulls that denture plate out, that's just like...
Oh,
God.
When he did that, I thought that they were going to play with that some more, but then they didn't.
Like he would, like, push things around or something.
Like, at his eventual demise, we would, like, understand even more parts of his body were not whole. It was enough that it put that idea in my head, which was effective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, getting to his demise, but also the locations were amazing. Macau, like Bond coming up through those like big dragon head things, and I think that was incredible, and practically, like, I think that's actually really in Macau. The fight scene with Patrice, with the like jellyfish stuff on the sides of the walls or sides of the building, that was just unbelievably incredible. Scotland was amazing. How they made Scotland amazing, I don't know.
I will have to include in the link dump. I sent this like sequence of 12 or so images that were all from the trailer of the film that are just still framed, and you can see the amazing composition of the image, the way that it was developed, like the color process, like it uses all the colors. It does not use like a simplified palette or something. And it's the same guy who shot all of the Coen brothers movies and a bunch of other amazing looking films.
Yeah. He was really good and a little obsessed with the framing Bond's eyes, kind of.
They're just so pretty to look at, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That opening shot, I had already seen it in the trailer, but I didn't understand that it was the opening shot or the way it would play, and it was just it's beautiful.
It was. And it was a really great. This really, to me, seems like the real refresh of the Bond franchise. Like, we've gotten rid of Judi Dench. Sorry, spoiler alert. Judi
Dench. How long ago did I talk about that?
Talk about.
I said on a vlog months ago that I was fairly sure Judi Dench was going to die.
She had to die. She was getting one in the tooth. She's been in these Bond movies since when was Goldeneye? 1990?
95.
95. Well, whatever. It's still a while, long time. I think that what's his name? The new M is going to be really good. Voldemort.
Yeah, I felt like, and now that I've gotten to see this, I understand that like Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace are like the backstory for the new MI6, essentially. Like, we get to see him get his 00 and become an agent, and then go through the first love and betrayal, and now he's at the beginning of his real career.
Right. He's a little older, though, you know?
Well, so is Roger Moore.
Yes. No, I agree. I think that's fine. But I mean, like, he's a older Bond, you know, so he's a wiser Bond than like the Dr. No from Russia with Sean Connery. You know, he's seen things.
He's more world weary.
Right, and in those movies, you sort of know that he was in the, you know, like he was a commander in the Navy and he's been in MI6 for a long time, but they don't really play that up very much. Here it's like, no, he has like he has a weight on him. So
it's kind of like the Nolan trilogy in Batman.
Hey-ho. It's almost like we, as a culture, want to see our heroes deconstructed and rebuilt in ways that we can understand them better.
What a strange trend.
What a weird thing. What a weird thing. Dating back to Watchmen. That's back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, if you haven't seen Skyfall and you don't feel, you know, upset about the spoilers, you should see it.
Most of which could have been predicted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we spoiled big things, and we didn't talk at all about the end in Scotland, but
it's just such a great movie.
Just everything about it, wall to wall, loved it.
The next two films are going to be a single story, kind of like the previous two, and I hope that means that they're getting the same director to direct two. I know that the guy who wrote this story will be writing the story for that.
Do you not think Sam Mendes?
Will? I don't know. I'd be fine with it. I thought he was great.
God, these were excellent. And I think that's good, you know, pairing up the writer across a couple of these.
We saw what it did for Harry Potter.
Definitely.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I'm a what? Oh, okay.